All right, we are live. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. You're watching Stand Up, Fight Back, where we discuss strategy and analysis for the progressive movement. I'm one of your co-hosts. I'm Margot Pines. I am a scientist, engineer, and occasional journalist. And up here, up top, that's Carlos Marroquin, your other co-host on the show today. He is an absolutely amazing grassroots organizer based in Los Angeles. And we've got two really wonderful guests with us and a third one coming to join us later on in the show. But first, I'd like to introduce our guests who are with us right now. We have Michelle Verne. She's from Feel the Burn Democratic Club of San Fernando. She's the president there of the club. And we have Erika Feresten. She's with Healthcare for All, the Los Angeles chapter, and she's also the president of this chapter. Carlos, of course, as usual, when we have guests, we love to give a slightly bigger introduction for them. So I'm going to hand it off to you so you can tell our viewers all about these two amazing people.
Well, good morning, everybody, wherever you may be watching us from. It is a absolutely beautiful Sunday morning here in Los Angeles. I already went for my juice. I got me some healthy juice, some watermelon. I was over at the farmer's market, just down the street here. But with us, we have two amazing organizers here, also based in Southern California. So much I can tell you about them, but I'm going to minimize it because we want to make the most out of the show today because we have a lot of information coming out. But I do have to say that Michelle Verne, she is she's a ball of fire when it comes down to organizing, motivating people. And again, so much that we can say about them. The same thing goes with Erika. Absolutely inspiring person here in Southern California, a friend of mine. I love these women. They are so powerful when it comes down to advocating for healthcare. So we cannot have no better people than them today. They represent a large group of organizers that work with them. So we are so happy to have them here with us this morning.
Thank you so much, Carlos. Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Michelle. Yes.
Yeah. And so Erika as well.
Yeah, why don't we get started? We can get started with you, Michelle. Let's talk about the most important things that are happening in California right now. It sounds like it's CalCare. And tell us a little bit about what it is and why it's so important.
So CalCare is a bill that was introduced by Assemblymember Ash Kalra from District 27. And it is a guaranteed healthcare for all bill for all California residents in the state of California. Our club has actually been fighting for Medicare for all for the past 3 years. And so when this bill was introduced, we went all in and have been fighting for it for the past year heavily. Even creating light boards that say, do you CalCare, AB 1400, taking them to the legislators where they're at and letting them know that this is what the community wants and what 85% of all registered Democrats want in this state. So we'll go into it more, and I can talk more about the specifics of what CalCare actually covers. But I guess I'll move it to Erika to talk more about the bill and actually where it is in the legislation right now.
Yes, I'm so glad to be on here with you guys and with Feel the Burn, Michelle Verne. And I'm excited for you, Michelle, to talk a little bit more about the bill because it is the most incredible single payer bill. As Carlos stated, or as actually you stated, Margot, I'm with Healthcare for All Los Angeles. And this is a local chapter of a statewide organization that has been in existence for decades with one single focus. And that is getting a single payer healthcare system, otherwise known as Medicare for All, in the state of California. So as Betty Dumas Toto likes to say, we are single-minded for single payer. And this is, I believe, the seventh single payer bill to be introduced to the California legislature in the past 2 decades. And Michelle, if you don't mind, I'm just going to say like my favorite things about this bill, and then I will get to where we're at. But what's really amazing about this bill, and this is a little bit wonky, so Michelle will break it down to less wonky, but this bill closes what's called an HMO ACO loophole. And that's a little bit wonky, but I think this is really important because right now, Medicare is on a fast track to being privatized through Medicare Advantage, which is actually private health insurance. And the reason why it is now on the fast track is because there was a loophole in the ACA. So I know it's a little bit wonky, but there are 2 single payer bills in the United States that don't have this loophole. One is Pramila Jayapal's Medicare for All Bill 1976, and the other is AB 1400 here in California. And so this loophole, which we close, otherwise would allow some of the worst aspects of the current health insurance system of unequal tiered coverage and payment schemes that disincentivize patient care and increases the opportunity for financial fraud. So Michelle will talk more about that, but closing that loophole makes this a strong single payer bill. Also, my favorite thing about this bill is that for the first time in California single payer bill history, this bill intentionally addresses healthcare disparities by integrating multilingual, culturally competent care into its provisions. That is hugely important and exciting because now we are moving from healthcare to health justice. And that is important. And the other thing that this bill does is it prioritizes funding for underfunded communities in urban and rural communities, which is also very important. So where is the bill at? The bill passed out of rules, and it passed out of the assembly rules. So it's in the assembly because it was written in the assembly. So it passed out of the assembly rules. Last Tuesday, it passed out of the Assembly Health Committee with an 11-3 vote. And on Thursday, it goes to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. This is the fiercest fight we have on our hands. I'll let Michelle talk more about the bill, and we can come back to me with some actions that you guys can take. But time is of the essence. We're talking Thursday. If this bill does not pass out of appropriations, then it's dead. So we have to rally like mad from now to Thursday to pass this bill out of appropriations. But with that, I'll turn it back to Michelle.
Yes. Yes. I mean, everything Erika said, and when it does pass the assembly, it's going to be a hard fight. We need everybody in this fight, and that is going to include going out and educating our communities so they can join us in this fight. But with that, the bill is everything that we need. It's universal coverage. It's everybody in, nobody out. Regardless of race, sex, gender, country of origin, disability status, immigration status, marital status, age, and income. You get the care that you need regardless of your ability to pay. And all of this is very important. The way that the system works now, especially under an HMO, is you have to go to a primary care physician in order to get any kind of care, specialty care. And that primary care physician determines whether he'll refer you, he or she will refer you to a specialist. that takes time, and that takes another person to hire to make sure that all those referrals and authorizations go through. With no in and out of network, you would just be able to go to any doctor, regardless of, if you have a foot pain, you go to a foot doctor. If you, you know what I mean? You just go to the doctor. You get free at the point of service care. With in and out of network, doctors do not have to accept the different HMOs. They don't have to accept Medi-Cal. They have the opportunity to accept whatever they want. And they have to contract with these different insurances. So they contract with Blue Cross, Health Net, and they have to have administrators that work in their office to make sure that they're getting the claims paid from all these people. They have to make sure that the authorizations go through all the different medical groups. It's just a lot of bureaucracy that doesn't have to be there. It's administrative costs that don't have to be there. Now, and referrals and authorizations, it would be amazing not to have to get a referral or authorization. Right now, I'm under Medi-Cal. And when I first joined, I've been in and out of Medi-Cal all my life because I'm in and out of jobs, right? If you quit your job, you can either get COBRA, which is so expensive, no one can afford it, or they get ACA, which can be upwards of $1,500 to $2,000 for a family of 5, right? Or you go on Medi-Cal, right? And Medi-Cal, they just automatically give you a PCP, right? And normally this PCP is like 30 miles away from your home. And in order to change that primary care physician, you have to call the insurance, get a new primary care physician, try to find somebody in your area that can accept you, right? And let me tell you something else just to go back, I was an employee at HealthNet and an employee at United Health Group for a combination of 22 years. Their provider directories are not updated. Most of the providers in those books, I've heard upwards of 85% of them aren't even contracted, especially under Medi-Cal. So the insurance company, try to get a doctor. Good luck on that. That takes a few phone calls, right? And then you get a new doctor and you get a referral, and none of the doctors that they refer you to or want to refer you to close to your home are contracted with Medi-Cal. So they end up referring you all the way somewhere, 20, 30 miles away from your home. For example, I was referred for a mammogram, but it was all the way in Beverly Hills. I live in Woodland Hills. I had to be there at 7:00 in the morning. How many people can do that under Medi-Cal? I was just fortunate enough to do that. So that no in and out of network would take care of all of that. And there's also, I hear people saying, oh, you're going to lose your coverage with your doctor. Every doctor will have to accept it because everybody has it. That I can't explain that more. You will not lose your coverage because every doctor will have to accept it because they all have it. I can't understand why people can't get that through their heads. So you will not lose your coverage. You will not lose your doctor. You will actually gain more doctors.
Yeah. We had a development this week, and I think it's really important for us to talk about. Governor Newsom announced a Medicare for All, program or whatever he is introducing. Can you explain us the difference between what he's saying and AB 1400?
Well, first of all, he said access to universal health care. That word access is not universal health care. Access to universal health care is not universal health care. He's talking about, from what I know, insuring 700,000 undocumented under this plan. I would believe under Medi-Cal. Well, if you insure 700,000 more people under Medi-Cal, Medi-Cal already doesn't have enough providers. It's going to shock the system and even cause even more problems. So there is another side to that. Some conservatives don't want the undocumented to be covered. So when they hear that, there's two sides. I think it's it's not, it's trying to deflect from what we really want.
What
right?
we really need, right?
And what we really need.
Right.
Trying to kind of act like that's what he's trying to do, but that's not what it is. So what we did was we went on and we're saying, great, you know, that's because it sounds like you want AB 1400, and that's what we want too.
And
so,
that's,
you know, and that's what he promised. That's what he promised, you know, and that's, you know, he should keep his promises.
And I was going to say that, Erika, he ran on Medicare for all. And the dangers right now with not only with, if you notice, insurance companies, politicians, different people are using language that sounds like is the real thing, but the reality is not. Erika.
Yeah, I mean, right, they co-opt our language. They do that all the time. We see this. And to people who are not in the weeds, you know, on this topic, the way, say, Michelle and I are, it was a very good PR move, I will say, for the governor to do. Because people who are busy working 2 and 3 jobs, whose heart is in the right place, they look at that and they think, oh gosh, Governor Newsom, yay, supporting undocumented. What he's really doing, Michelle pointed out, he's you know, he's not really giving them what they really need or what we all really need. AB 1400 covers everybody: undocumented, unhoused, wealthy, middle class.
Right, exactly.
I mean, so what we have right now is a caste healthcare system. And he is perpetuating the caste healthcare system by putting people, this group of people, undocumented people, in the lowest tier of the caste healthcare system. And as Michelle was saying earlier, you know, let's look at Medi-Cal. You don't have very many providers who accept Medi-Cal because the reimbursement rates are low. And you know, when these politicians talk about how wonderful they are because they just put all these undocumented workers into Medi-Cal, what I'd like to say is I'd like to see you and your family be on Medi-Cal. Exactly. Tell me how much you like it. People are, when you go into, let's say, Kaiser or whatever, the person who walks in who has a PPO, and I have heard this from people who are on Medi-Cal. I know that Michelle Verne just shared on here. She's in Medi-Cal, so, you know, she may want to weigh in this, but people who have been on Medi-Cal and have had private insurance, considering you know, that I'm with Healthcare for All Los Angeles, I know lots of people who have been in this situation, and they all say they were treated completely different at the same provider office when they had Medi-Cal and when they had, you know, like a PPO insurance. For one thing, you know, a lot of times these doctors' offices, they'll have an internal quota. So let's say they'll be like, okay, we'll take 5 Medi-Cal patients. And then once the 6th and the 7th and the 10th and the 100th start calling up, what they do is they say, oh, you know, Dr. So-and-so is booked for the next 3 months. So what does that do? So they don't get the appointment. They don't get care. So really what we really need is to stop. And it's also a device to pit us against each other, right? To keep us fighting for crumbs while the man up there is screwing us every which way. So we have to stop this, okay, just healthcare for this group of people and just healthcare for this underage people and this healthcare for this group of people. AB 1400 is everybody in. And until everybody is in the same system, when the janitor and the governor are getting the same high quality healthcare, that is what will keep us all getting the same high quality healthcare. Once you start to tier it, oh, I got the gold plan. Ooh, shit, I only got the silver plan. That's when, it becomes an unequal tiered system. And quite frankly, we have it's a racist system where the wealthy and often white get great care, and everybody else get subpar or no care and are forced into, medical debt. I think 18% of Americans are in medical bankruptcy. That doesn't exist in other countries, but
and even, I mean, if you open your mind more, right, to this, what happens in our society when this occurs? It's a level of stress that stressful energy rises and affects everyone. We all affect each other in our lives, right? We're human beings. We're not material. We're not products, right? And so when we're stressed, it affects everything. It affects even the rich people. It affects, our families, which, generate stress to everybody else. It's got to end now, because it's just going to get worse. HMOs are starting to become Medi-Cal. If you have an HMO, I had an HMO, and literally it wasn't that much different than Medi-Cal. So, and what health insurance companies have done for the past couple decades is just bandage these plans, adding HMO, PPO, FSA, HSA, 20% deductibles, 10%, whatever they can get, $10 copay, $20. I mean, it's just on and on and on. And it's like, when is it going to stop? When are they going to stop trying to get money out of our health?
When we pass AB 1400.
Right? So we have to be the ones. Nothing has ever happened until the people stood up and fought for it, period. And that's, I might not look that old, but from the past and growing up in a family of hippies, I mean, nothing ever passed unless we fought. And we can't back down now. We have to all get out and fight for this. It's just going to continue to get worse. And more people are going to die, and more people are going to go bankrupt. And so, and then people got to come out and start saying that too, right? People are shamed into like not talking about their issues, too. Let's come out and talk about the real deal about what's going on and get people to share their stories.
Yeah. What kind of support does AB 1400 have right now in the legislature in California among the politicians? So if you get it out of this particular stage that it's in, what does it look like in terms of support?
So that's a great question. This bill has something like 16 co-authors on it, which is fantastic. We rocked it in the health committee. I think we had 4 or 5 co-authors in the health committee. We have 2 co-authors in the appropriations committee. I am solely focused on one step at a time, Margot. I am pretty nervous about the appropriations committee. We have to get every single Democrat in the appropriations committee to vote for this. So let me see. I just kind of want to look up. Okay, so we have in the appropriations committee on our side, we have Wendy Carrillo. She is a co-author. Maybe we only have one co-author. I don't have my list in front of me. I know that Rivas pledged support for the bill in the appropriations committee. So that's 2 for sure. Garcia, we have a soft yes. Michelle Verne can speak to Jesse Gabriel. I've heard
we have a yes from Jesse. He just wouldn't co-author. But we do.
I would consider that a soft yes from Jesse Gabriel, because he didn't make a commitment to the California nurses who actually wrote the bill, but hoping that will be a yes from Jesse Gabriel. We need Quirk, Levine, Caldron, and we need the chair, Holden. We need all of them to pass this. So What I want to do is just move into calls to action right now, if you don't mind. The first call to action that we need is we need people to call the members of the Appropriations Committee, particularly Holden, the chair. So that's one call to action. People should be doing it today on Sunday. Leave a message. It doesn't matter. Call in every day till Thursday. That's not a lot, people. So also CNA has 2 phone banks coming up. One on Tuesday night, January 18th at 6:30 p.m. and one on Wednesday night at 6 p.m. These phone banks will be focused on calling constituents in the Appropriation Committee members' districts and getting those constituents to call in. So it's a very important phone bank to make. Plus, they're a lot of fun because it's, you're with a bunch of people and we're all together and we're all making phone calls. The second thing is send a letter from your organization, your small business, to the Appropriations Committee chair. This letter is pre-written. All you got to do is put your organization's header, name, write 1 sentence why you support, and put your signature. The rest is done. It could take you less than 5 minutes. And then individuals, just like you and I, can send a letter to your assembly member. Again, it's a pre-written letter. That would take less than a minute because all you put in is your name and address, and it automatically populates your assembly member. The letter is written. You literally hit send. You're done. You don't even have to write 1 sentence. You can if you want to. All of these actions are found in our toolkit, which is bit.ly/HCALA toolkit, all lowercase. So I'll say that again. You just go into your browser and you type in bit.ly, bit.ly/HCALA toolkit, all lowercase. There is also my favorite action that you can take. So what I listed, the top 3 most important that we have to do for Thursday. So we've got to call the members of the Appropriation Committee. You got to join the CNA phone banks, and you got to get your organization to write in that letter. If everybody watching does this, that will be amazing. We're focused on appropriations Thursday. After Thursday, there's other amazing actions you can take. You can take them before Thursday, but for extra credit, one of my favorites is the photo pledge by the CalCare Solidarity Project. That is also in our toolkit. So every action you can take is listed in that toolkit, including the photo solidarity pledge, which is a lot of fun because it's your photo and it goes out all over social media. So thank you. And again, please go to the toolkit, bit.ly, HCALA toolkit.
Amazing.
Yes, and I'd like to say too, I have an echo.
Go ahead.
We also have a bit.ly for Feel the Burn. It's bit.ly/S4SP-CSP, and that'll take you to the photo pledge also. And if you want to join a club that is highly active, join feeltheburnSFE.org if you're in Los Angeles County. We do a lot of events and actions, and we'll be doing one this Monday with MLK for social justice, car caravan. If you want to join us there. Another thing I was going to say is the bill, there will be no more copays, deductibles, or premiums. And I always hear, oh, our taxes will go up and all this stuff. And it's it would be based on a progressive tax, and it would be for, people that are more wealthy than others, let's say. And and it would eliminate copays, premiums, and deductibles, which are way higher than taxes are. And not only that, premiums can go up every year, and they normally do, because these health insurance companies have to reach their profit margin. So they boost their premiums every year. And I just have to say that. And I, as a healthcare insurance employee, was paying $350 a month for myself and my husband. And the insurance company was not paying me enough in wages to pay for the insurance for my kids. So while I was employed, I was paying $350 a month for my husband and I, and my kids were on Medi-Cal. So the taxpayers were subsidizing healthcare for my kids while I worked for the health insurance company. And I'm not the only person that was happening with. And not only that, I'll speak for also something called just transition in the bill that handles employees of health insurance companies to transition into other jobs. The jobs at the health care insurance, the ones that I had, were not dignified. I can say that those 22 years of working in healthcare insurance, I don't feel like I did anything for anyone. So if those jobs were transitioned into more of providing quality care to people, the employee would feel much more dignified. And, I just have to say that, speaking as an employee of healthcare insurance.
I think that's really important, Michelle. And I think, as you said earlier, this bill, as you know, was written by the California Nurses Association. They have in there a just transition, right? So they are all about workers and looking out for workers. So all the people who have the job that you once held, Michelle, they are being taken care of and will have just transition. And then I
had to make that point.
We talked about so they're using the typical tax, scare tactic. There is a great quote, if I can pull it up. I'm going to read this. It's by Ash Kara. He said this in the health committee. He said, "We're already paying the highest health tax in the world. You may refer to it as premiums, deductibles, copays, denial of care, endless corporate bureaucracy, but it's as clear as day. We're being fleeced, and far too many understandably feel helpless about it." This bill will save you, Michelle, you, Carla. It's like you as an individual, you will pay less money with this tax and have a lifetime of comprehensive care, long-term care, dental, health. You name it, you have it. No more copays, no more deductibles. So you as individuals, you will have more money in your pocket with this 1% tax that applies to people making over $49,000 a year than you have right now in the $4,000 to $11,000 you're paying now for healthcare costs. That's your premium, your deductible, your copay, your out-of-network costs. This doctor can't see you. So AB 1400 saves you money, saves your life. It saves everybody money, from individuals to cities to counties to the state, and it saves lives. And then today at 5:00, we are having CalCare office hours with Nurse Gina and I believe Ryan Skolnick of California Nurses Association to do a deep dive into exactly what are the taxes, how much you'll save. So that's today at 5:00. And you can tune in via Facebook Live at HCA Los Angeles, Healthcare for All Los Angeles Facebook Live. Tune in at 5 for a deep dive on how much we're all going to save with AB 1400.
Erika, I have a question about the existing Medi-Cal system. How is that paid for right now?
So the Medi-Cal system here in California, I believe, is paid by the federal government. Isn't that correct, Michelle? So that's another thing. Once AB 1400 passes, so about, I think it's 70% of all of our healthcare costs in California are already paid for. So that's Medi-Cal, Medicare, all the employees in California, so teachers, firefighters. It's already paid for by our taxes. The problem is that money, instead of actually going to healthcare, is going to health insurance companies, where they are extracting huge amounts of our money for their profit and then denying and delaying care. Like Michelle told a story earlier, like to get care, she had to be, whatever it was, 30 miles away by 7 a.m. in the morning. She has 2 kids. Like, yeah, I'm glad she was able to work that out, but how many people can? So the federal government pays for, Medi-Cal, Medicare, and AB 1400, once it passes as a policy bill, it unlocks that funding from the federal government so that it can go directly toward healthcare. So we're only looking to make up less than 20%. And that's, why the progressive tax, like there's a gross receipts tax of 2% on businesses that make over $2 million. So if your business is making, less than $2 million, you're paying nothing. So there's a small tax on a small personal tax on individuals making over 149,000. So if you're making less than 149, or if you're making 149,000 or less, no tax for you. So so that's why it's so small. So we're just looking to make up that less than 20%. Less than 30%. So most of it's paid for. We unlock those federal dollars once we pass this bill.
Yeah, and we're talking about a state that is the fifth largest economy in the world here. And, we just had a 45, if I'm not mistaken, $45.9 billion surplus or something. And I mean, it's just crazy, and it could save us $73 billion a year. So, I mean, what are we doing really? So.
Yes, Michelle, you're right. We can completely afford it. We are, as you mentioned, the world's 5th largest economy, and we have the population size of about Canada. So Canada's doing it, we can do it. And then as California goes, so does the nation. And that's the intention here. Get it done here in California. And then as in Canada, it started in one province, Saskatchewan, and then the rest of Canada adopted it. And that's the goal.
That was 70 years ago, mind you.
So Medicare for all in California, and then Medicare for all the United States.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, we also have John Parker with us now. So I'll go ahead and introduce him. Just give me a moment here. Let me bring up a little bit of a bio that I have. So John Parker is the coordinator of the Harriet Tubman Center for Social Justice. He's traveled with former U.S. Attorney General Ramsey Clark on many anti-war delegations to build peace and solidarity, including trips to Sudan, Iraq, Syria, and Palestine. So thank you so much for being here with us. And let me just bring Carlos back on here. Carlos, please tell us a bit more about this amazing person who's just joined us.
Yeah. Good morning, John. How are you doing today?
Great. Thank you for having me here. It's great to be here.
Yes, John has been a friend, I would say, at least 10 years since the days of Occupy. He's been on the front lines, always working for social justice for the people and making sure that the people are represented. So I am so happy to have you here with us today. Something exciting happening tomorrow, and we want to hear about it. And
yeah,
you were able
I'm going to give a little segue too, because one of the organizations that's participating is Healthcare for All in this action, and we are definitely in support of the AB 1400. One of the things that we're trying to do, in this action and many actions, and we, as you know, Carlos, because you're someone who does that as well, is to try to unify our communities and build our strength through unity. And one of the criticisms I had of the Obamacare or the other healthcare things is that it kind of divided the community up and said, okay, well, if you're a citizen, then you get this, but if you're not a citizen, then you're under the bus. This bill does not say that. This bill says that, if you're a resident, this bill doesn't, it helps to make us see each other as in our, see each other's interest so that and support each other. An injury to one of us is an injury to all of us. And that's why I like, one of the reasons I like this bill so much, and the fact that it's going to save so many lives by ensuring more of us get health care. So that's that. Sorry. Just to say, well, this year is going to be an unprecedented Martin Luther King Day on January 17th, this Monday. The King Parade has now been controlled, taken over, well, I don't know what you want to call it, but 25 different organizations led by Black organizations like the Martin Luther King Coalition, the Harriet Tubman Center for Social Justice, the Harvard Boulevard Block Club, the Black Pac Africa Town Coalition, and along with our Brown families, Union del Barrio, Bayan USA, along with our indigenous families from AIM SoCal, and various progressive community organizations, Veterans for Peace, and many other organizations. I don't leave too many people out and get in trouble, but grassroots community organizations are now in the leadership of the message of Dr. King, which was it was being disrespected, to say the least. Year after year for the last 37 or so years, you had the promoters and the institutions of state violence in the parade, the military, the police, ICE. This year, they're not allowed to be in the parade, and it's not a parade. Actually, we're taking our marching orders from Martin Luther King III, who is initiating a policy, initiating a campaign, calling it "No Celebration Without Legislation," in reference to the voter suppression bills that have overtaken this country. In fact, yesterday they were in Arizona at a demonstration because that state, along with 19 others, have passed 30 bills and laws that especially targeting Black voters to keep them from voting. One of these laws said you can't even give water to people waiting in long lines. So it's like taking us back to the days of the civil rights days. And this MLK Day will be an opportunity to look at those issues and encourage more unity amongst our progressive organizations and amongst all people, working people especially, to fight for social justice. And, with the death of Valentina Oriano Peralta, I believe I pronounced it right, with the death of that 14-year-old killed by a bullet from an LAPD assault rifle in a crowded store, it shows the need to fight against police murder and brutality and killings and raise that up as an issue. And it shows the need to fight against the brutality of ICE and the brutality of our military that is killing in our name. So that's the issues that are going to be, along with the healthcare issue, that are going to be prominent. And if the good thing about King is that you can find a quote or you can find anything that he said that relates to a progressive issue that we're dealing with today. And so that's, in a nutshell, a big nutshell, what we're doing.
Always you being on the front lines, working relentlessly, on these issues, which really affects our communities of colors the most. Where can people go? What can they do? How can people get involved?
I'm glad you asked that. You often, you do interviews and things, and you're like, oh yeah, the point. I was supposed to tell people about where to go. Well, it's going to be Monday, January 17th, and we should also mention, we're talking about healthcare. This is a COVID safe event. So we're asking people to come with your vehicles. It's a car caravan. It's a caravan for social justice. And there's going to be our floats, music, rap, spoken word, and around 10 a.m. We'll be there at 9, but most folks will assemble at 10 a.m. at the corner of Martin Luther King and Western. And the caravan will take off around 11, and we'll be going to Leimert Park. The same route that it's been for the last 37 years. We're taking that same route. And it's going to be, like I said, an event to reflect the true spirit of Dr. King. And if they want to, there's our event page, MLK Day for Social, MLK Caravan for Social Justice, I believe it is. Or you can look up the Harriet Tubman Center for Social Justice Facebook page and see more information.
So definitely we want folks to come out.
Or you can call 323-899-2003 if you have other information, or if you want to. And we welcome everybody to bring your vehicle to come. And we'll also be live streaming, and that will be on the Harriet Tubman Center page, Facebook page.
Again, can you repeat that information? How can people?
Oh, I lost audio. I don't hear.
I shared it in the comments, so I think if I've got this right, it's going to be Monday, January 17th. It's a car caravan.
I don't know if it's me, but I can't hear.
I think it's so John, I think we can hear you, so it might be something on your end. But so this is going to be Monday, January 17th. It's the MLK Caravan for Social Justice. They will be assembling at 10 a.m. at the corner of Martin Luther King and Western, and the caravan takes off at 11. So I hope that people can join these amazing organizations that are putting this together, because it sounds like it's going to be a really, really fantastic event for me.
John, don't worry, they got you. They're sharing.
So yeah, Carl, John, can you hear us yet?
Can you hear us, John?
Got it.
Oops, my head.
All right, we can hear him loud and clear.
Yeah, we can hear him, but something happened with on his end. I think he can't hear us.
Right.
But I think we'll give John a little bit of time to see if he can figure that out. But Carlos, do you want to say anything else about the action that's happening tomorrow?
Well, it's clearly important for us to get involved, for us to participate. Here's a unique opportunity for us to come out and commemorate Martin Luther King holiday, his day, but also at the same time be able to be visible with the message of healthcare for all. This was one of the issues that Dr. Martin Luther King addressed and highlighted during the days of his activism. He did say that, amongst all the injustices, healthcare was the most, pretty much that most impacted. The lack of healthcare that impacted communities of color. In a nutshell, that's what he was saying. He saw the injustice of the healthcare system that exists and continues to exist today. So I am encouraging everybody that believes in the message of healthcare, that as a right, as a human right for people, to come on and participate. Well, we have with us Erika, Michelle, that have been on the front lines working on this amongst many, many other activists. This is our time, people. This is a time for us to come out and participate. We have actions throughout the week. We have a bill that is going to go before the appropriations committee that needs to be passed. We need to write letters. We need to make phone calls. There's a lot of work to do, and this is our time. We need to roll our sleeves and go to work, because we may not have a second chance on this.
John, can you hear us yet? Okay, sounds like we're having a little bit of trouble with John. Okay, well, Erika and Michelle, I was wondering if you had any thoughts about the upcoming MLK Day, which is tomorrow.
Yeah, everybody join us. We're going to have a truck. And we're also going to be doing a CalCare dance behind the truck. The caravan's going to move at a walking pace. So we're looking for dancers to come dance. We'll be social distance and masked. And behind us will be the caravan. So if you want to join the dance, the line dance, we'll be out there at 9 in the morning on MLK and Western practicing before the caravan starts. And if not, if you just want to stay in your car, bring your car on out and we'll decorate it with CalCare and healthcare stuff. Yeah, that's about it. Erika, do you want to say anything?
Just, what I love so much about this march is it's like a beautiful physical demonstration of what John was saying about AB 1400. We're all coming together and we're all fighting for these social justice, human rights, issues, right? The voting rights, AB 1400. So I think that's, my favorite thing about this march is, really coming together. And I love what John was talking about, no celebration without legislation. And it was mentioned earlier, the politicians, the corporations, co-opting, social justice and human rights movements, language. I saw an LAPD car the other day with a bumper sticker of Gandhi's "Be the Change." I mean, it's absurd. So I so much love to John and the organizers of this MLK March that is, being with the heart of what MLK stood for and shedding, the perpetuators of state sanctioned violence. So yes, come and join all these wonderful organizations, get your dance on, get your beep on. It's going to be great. And again, that's tomorrow, Monday, 10 a.m., corner of Martin Luther King Boulevard and Western. 9 a.m. to decorate your car, though. Thanks.
Oh, and if you're going to dance, wear red or a white shirt.
Okay, so I guess we've lost John. So should we give him a few minutes, see if he comes back, Carlos?
I actually text him, and I think he's pretty much done. He said what he needed to say. I mean, we're going to invite him again to the show in the near future, so he can give us a little more of the work that he's doing on the ground here in Southern California, along with other activists. But I tell you, John has been on the front lines like no other, and he's a good person. He loves the community, and he sees exactly what is needed, and he was spot on the statements that he made regarding healthcare and the police violence that exists, etc. So I'm just so delighted to have had with us today two of the most powerful voices here in Southern California, or organizers that give their all to this issue, and rightfully so. It deserves it. We need to give everything that we can right now. I always say, look, if we're gonna push with both hands. It doesn't make sense for us to half step right now. We come too far, to let go right now. We gotta. This is the time to rise up and press on.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me. And Carlos, I'm going to have to say, put our whole bodies on this.
Right.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to wrap up the show now. So, Erika and Michelle, I'd love to give you both the final word on today's show.
My final word is we need everyone to come out and fight for this. Like Erika said, call the assembly members and tell them to vote for it. And that's pretty much it. And get involved. We need you. And thanks so much for having me, you guys.
Thank you. Yes. And echoing what Michelle said, we have to pass AB 1400 through the Appropriations Committee hearing on Thursday. So I am asking you to go to our toolkit, bit.ly, B as in boy, it.ly/HCALA toolkit, all lowercase, and take the top 3 actions to get this bill passed through, which is call the members of the Assembly Appropriations Committee, particularly the chair, Holden. We had a constituency group meet with him. He personally did not meet with them. This is just a couple of days ago. He sent a staffer to meet with them. And at the end, the staffer said he's not committed either way. So please make these phone calls, make them every day. Please join the California Nurses Association phone banks that are calling constituents in the districts of the Appropriations Committee members. And please have your organization send in a letter of support before Thursday. Again, it's pre-written. You just put your organization's name in and send, and all of those are at our toolkit. And there's other wonderful actions you can take, but those are the 3 I'm focused on for Thursday. And join us tomorrow at the MLK March. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you both for joining us. Carlos, I'll let you also give any last thoughts you have on today's show.
We'd like to dedicate today's broadcast to all those families that have no health insurance. We see you. We know that you really having a hard time out there. This show is to you, and we're gonna fight like hell. We're gonna do everything that we can so that we can elevate your voice, so that you also could come in and be covered and have not only access but to have health care that is desperately needed for your family. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you to all of our guests who joined us today. You've been watching Stand Up Fight Back, where we discuss strategy and analysis for the progressive movement. I'm Margot Pius, your co-host, and just right down here in the middle, that's Carlos Marroquin, your other co-host on the show. We air every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. We simulcast on Facebook and YouTube. So please follow us, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss an episode. We'll see you again next week on Sunday. So please take care of yourself, stay healthy, get vaccinated if you haven't, and wear a mask. And we'll see you next week. Don't forget to turn out to these awesome actions. Bye, everybody. Take care.